Thanks so much for joining me on this little fun decor video, creating these little light pools. Remember, there's so many uses for them, and make sure to comment below and give your ideas to help out the beading community about other ways that you can use beads in your interior design. These also make great Christmas presents as well too for little ornaments. Remember, if you need any of these materials, go ahead and check out the description below to get links to shop with us online. If you haven't yet, hit that little subscribe button so you don't miss anything from us here at Potomac Beads. So to get started on this light pool here, we're going to be doing some wire working. And if you've never done wire working before, that's okay. These are very, very simple skills. You want to have handy a round nose pliers, which has two rounded jaw, a wire cutter, you want a flush cutter, and then you want a needle nose or chain nose pliers. We're going to be working with 22 gauge wire. You can work up to 20 gauge. And I have some 1-inch head pins here that we're going to be working with. I want to stick to at least 22 or thicker gauge because this is going to get pooled on when you're having it as a light pool. So the first thing that I want to do is actually establish my crystal drop here. And this is a water drop pendant. And what we're going to do is take our 22 gauge wire, I have about 10 inches here, and I'm taking it through my pendant, leaving about 2.5 inches on one side, and then leaving those 6 inches or so on the, or 7 inches or so on the other side. I'm going to cross the wire above the pendant, and you can see this Potomac wire is easy to bend, so you don't have to worry about manipulating it too much. And after the cross of the pendant here, what I want you to do is take the wire and bend it up toward the top. So if I look at it from the side here, that piece of wire that's longer is coming straight out from the top of the wire. From the bottom here then, I'm going to take the lower piece here, and you'll notice I'm holding with my round nose pliers, and I'm going to wrap it around one time around the crystal and then stop. Next, we're going to do a really simple skill, and we're going to create a little spiral on the top of the pendant. So if you're looking here at the top of the pendant, the spiral is going to sit directly in front of it. If you don't want the spiral, go ahead and cut that off now. What I'm going to do is grab the end of the wire here with my round nose pliers. Remember, we left about 2 inches to the front there, 2.5. And we're going to make a tiny little loop. And that little loop I'm going to make as small as I can on my round nose pliers. And then I'm going to take my round nose pliers off. Grab my needle nose pliers, and I'm going to start holding that little loop and bending the wire slowly. So I'm bending the wire, holding the loop there, and I'm creating that little spiral. As you get going, if you have a fair amount of hand strength, you can also take it off and you can bend it with your fingers. If you want to, and you want to make it bigger, just include more wire to the front. So if you want a bigger spiral, use 4 inches. If you want a bigger spiral even more than that, use 6 inches. I'm using the spiral just to cover up, and I like to turn mine as I'm doing it so it lays nicely. I'm going to use it just to cover up basically the whole of that crystal pendant. So just right at the top there. You can see the one here. Once we have that done, I'm going to sit my pendant to the side, and up comes all of my little head pins with my crystals on them. I'm going to take one of these head pins here, and I'm going to take my needle nose pliers, turn to the side. I'm going to make a little loop with my round nose pliers, going over top of the round nose pliers till it hits the crystal, flipping from the top jaw to the bottom jaw. And then where that wire is crossing over, I'm going to trim that wire. I now have an example for how much I need to trim all of these head pins. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of line these up and just give a little snip to all of them. Hopefully your crystals don't fall out. And I'm going to snip those down, leaving approximately the same amount of wire. This is nice because it's helpful and easy to just have one tool in your hand at once. So you're going to go ahead and snip. I'm doing 15 here. We're going to snip all 15 of these. And then after they're snipped, you're going to grab your round nose pliers. So I'm going to do all of them. And then with my round nose pliers, I'm going to hold at the very end, just like I did with the coil, the end of the head pin there. I'm then going to take my round nose pliers and just roll the wire down toward the crystal to make a little loop. Normally, I want to make sure that that loop is centered right above the crystal. Because we're doing the light pool, it's going to move around, and the way that we're attaching it, you're never going to see it. So all we're going to do is pick up every one here, grab it approximately the same place, and just literally roll that down. So you're continuing on then, rolling these all down to get all 15 done. Once you have all of these little crystals done, you're just going to take the remaining wire and very simply put all the crystals on the remaining wire. If you notice that any of your crystal loops here for your eye pins need to be closed, go ahead and use your chain nose pliers to do that, and literally I'm just feeding them directly onto the wire. Now you notice I have a lot of extra wire. I find it easier to hold on to, and especially depending on how long you want to make your light pool. You may not use it all, but you'll have extra to work with. Once all the crystals are on, you're just going to let them drop right down next to your pendant. You can see that pretty look with the Sphinx and that metallic sky bead. And now what we're going to do is attach it to the ball chain. So if I'm not attaching it to the ball chain, all I'm going to do, which I'm going to do the same thing attaching to the ball chain, is bend the wire back 90 degrees with my chain nose pliers. I'm going to go in here with my round nose pliers, and I'm going to be able to see both jaws of the pliers and the wires coming straight out the back. I'm going to make a tiny little eye pin loop. The reason I'm making this tiny is because it is going to be based on the size of my ball chain that's hanging from my fan or my light, or if you're wrapping around curtains, you can make this bigger and use some ribbon. And that little loop there, what we're going to do is we are going to put that between the last two sections of our ball chain. So I'm going to take the last two there and move those beads down. And you're going to slide that ball into that little opening. If you need to, you can turn it open a tiny bit, slide in there, that little section between the last two balls. So I'm going to just hold it there and kind of pinch that in place. If you've done any wire working before, you know that you need to kind of pop that in when you're doing jump rings or if you're doing chain link. Once you have that popped in there, you're going to hold with your pliers, and we're going to twist the wire around that little section. So you can see that the wire gets twisted there. And then what it does is it holds nice and firm, that it's not going to be at risk for letting go every time you pull the light pool. So I don't like to do just a plain loop. I want to do that coiled loop. Then grab my wire cutters and cut off the extra wire. That's it. It's so simple to dress up your lights, your fans, to do a lot of decor ideas with beads. Like I said, if you want to also, these look great just even hanging in windows. And at the top here, I would just tie a little fishing line to reflect and get all of the beautiful Potomac crystal look coming through the windows and making a beautiful prism. These are a great idea, again, for decor and a lot of other uses too.